Joining us on the How Did You podcast today is Andrew, also known as Enigma on the microphone as well as Twitch. Andrew is a current producer at Dixerto and has worked with myself for 3 months, unfortunately. How are you doing today, Andrew?
I'm good. I'm good. You know the situation at the minute. We're trying to play spin many plates. So yeah, mad busy as always, as we always are. But very good, very good. How about you, man? How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. I've always wanted to know, how did you get into commentating? Was it something that happened at the drop of a hat, or was it something that you planned to do since you were a child?
I've always had mad respect for commentators and casters and so on, but I always wanted to play. I wanted to be a player. But unfortunately, I just never really had the time to try and dedicate myself to that craft. And then I did a lot of analytical work. I made a lot of videos where I analyzed and broke things down. And someone just turned around to me one day and said, "Look, I think you'd be good at this. Why don't you give it a shot? See how you find it." Did my first one, and yeah, it turned out to be. It's a really good way, especially for someone like me who likes to talk a lot. It's a really good way of just being able to put across what you think. And I had a great time. It was in some, I think they were called EEG, I want to say, but yeah, they were probably the first people who gave me a shot.
How did you come up with the name Enigma? Because obviously your Twitch handle is Enigma AMC, which is quite self-explanatory at the end, but where did Enigma come from?
So when I was younger, and I was 15, 16, and we were all playing Call of Duty. When would that have been? Black Ops 2, Modern Warfare 3. We all came up with a team, and it was NWT, and then it'd be NWT underscore, and then your name, and everyone had a name, and everyone just came up with cool words. I remember there was a elite and a toxic and everything else, and I was just oh, I was the flank route guy. And I remember being a kid and being oh yeah, I'm a mystery on the map kind of thing. And I was just what kind of words do I need? And I think I just maybe looked through a thesaurus or something and was oh, I love the word enigma. I'll take that one. So yeah, not the best story, but yeah.
It worked, and it shows that you were gaming from a young age. What kind of games did you play when you were younger? Was it Call of Duty through and through, or did you play, I don't know, Nintendo Dogs?
I played a little bit of Nintendo's back in the day, but no, mostly shooters. So Call of Duties, Halos, Star Wars Battlefronts, the old Ghost Recons, Rainbow Sixes. Yeah, lots of shooter games in there. Mix of all sorts, but primarily shooters for sure.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot, and I want to know, if you were to join the CDL, would you take somebody from Challengers with you, or from somebody from Clutch with you, or would you break up a partnership that is currently in the CDL and steal a partner?
Oh, I'd love to work alongside Miles. 1,000,000%. Miles is insane. Miles is absolutely ridiculous. Don't get me wrong, there's lots of people I'd love to take with me from Challengers, from the Clutch GG group, but Miles is insane. He's like a poet, the way he delivers himself across games and important moments, setting the build up and then the payoff that comes with that. He's insanely good. There's a good reason why he won Caster of the Year, play-by-play Caster of the Year last year. He fully deserved that.
What did you do before esports? Because obviously, like you say, you joined a clan, you were playing shooters for quite a long time, and there must have been something you did before esports, like you ran your own YouTube channel before you started at Xerto. How did you get into esports?
How did I get into esports? I watched it obviously from being very young. I watched it basically when I was back trying to play. It was part of the time where there was no money in esports. That was one of the things that me and my mom always joke about. I would always say I'm really good at this. Let me do this. But I was good in school as well. So my mom would be yeah, but there's no money in gaming. So look how that one turned out. Yeah, I think in terms of the actual getting into getting my job in esports, it was making my own content. It was making those analytical pieces. It was giving my opinions. I had my own almost weekly show that I did, and it didn't get much in the way of viewership, maybe between 100 and 500 views per video, not much at all really. But it was one of those where thankfully Astro picked up my content, the community picked up my content and really loved it. And I ended up in a position where then Dexerto saw me on as well. And when I reached out to Mike about doing some work with them, he'd already seen me. So thankfully, it's one of those, a lot of people turn around to you and say oh, keep putting in the work because someone will see it. And it's true. It's true. If I hadn't done those pieces, Astro never see me. Mike at Deserto never sees me, I never end up in this position.
Absolutely, I completely agree with that because that's exactly how I ended up at Dexerto. Because obviously the podcast started, had Mike on, and then they offered me a job the next day. How have you found your experience at Dexerto, and what exactly do you do for the people that don't know who you are?
It's changed a lot. I've only been here a year and like 3 months, 2 months. It's changed a lot. Like initially, I came in and I ran basically a Call of Duty analytical weekly piece I would do every week, and then also the reverse sweep show that's now in James's hands, James Sellers. But nowadays I work across the influenced shorts side of things, as well as running the League of Legends show, as well as producing the CSGO show. So multiple things, all sorts of different things. Obviously, of course, helping make sure the team are all running properly. But yeah, just a lot of different plates. But my time has been good. I'm really enjoying it so far. It's always very busy. That's one thing that you kind of have to just accept, whether it be Deserto or in esports in general, it seems. But you learn a ridiculous amount. Like if I look at my CV, it's ridiculous. Like I finally started to put together like an esports CV, and it's insanely long. Trying to condense that into something is really hard because of how much Deserto will put you into the swimming pool and just sink or swim. Like you figure it out, man. Learn how to do things, which if you're someone like me, you really enjoy that kind of challenge. So yeah, it's been really good. I'm looking forward to hopefully more years to come.
You mentioned more years to come. Where do you see yourself in a year? Do you hope that maybe Influencer's got 1 million subscribers, which I do, or do you hope that you're going to be working on, say, another game, being a freelance caster?
I think in a year's time I'll still be spinning lots of different plates. So for those who don't know, I do work at Deserto. I do cast. I also have my own business. I have other things I'm involved in. But yeah, I definitely influenced by Deserto. I want to see that million. I want to see that play button on that shelf right there. I want to see it. I truly think it can happen without a doubt, and I'm looking forward to it. And then casting, I don't know. Call of Duty is weird, very weird. I don't know how much I can talk about it on a podcast, of course, but there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that really shouldn't, and it makes it very, very difficult. I mean, just this weekend, a really, really good European caster was essentially not given an opportunity he's worked years for because of a company not wanting to arrange travel. And he was replaced by someone who'd never cast Call of Duty before. So if that's happening, then I'm not sure. But I love Call of Duty. I love the game forever. I love the scene. My passion is there. So hopefully I'm still working there. But I think always looking for other opportunities. Like I mean, Deserto, I'd love to be here. As far as I can see to the future, I'd love to be here. But if there's if someone like 100 Thieves came knocking and they're like, oh, come and try things out over here, it'd be you've always got to keep your options open and always be wide picture. Okay, what kind of things can I get up to and do and have fun with and learn from? And so yeah, it's kind of difficult. It is difficult to say.
There's a lot of plates being spun. But if we were to say, I don't know, with the experience that you've had, add another plate to that, and basically picture that you were forced to decide that a Hall of Fame for Call of Duty was being established. Okay. You yourself have to choose one person to go in that Hall of Fame from Call of Duty. Who is it?
One person to go into the Call of Duty Hall of Fame?
Yeah, as the first person.
The first person, it has to be Scump. Has to be. He is the king of Call of Duty. Like looking at him over the years and seeing everything that he's done, everything that he's achieved, and it continues through to this day. The fact that he won the Warzone tournament and he didn't use like snaky little tactics or anything like that. He wasn't running around with the riot shield or anything. He was just playing the game straight up. Won a solo event. He's insanely talented. I think personally still got many years to go. I think you could stick him on an AR. He understands the game better than anyone. His communication's great. His gun skill is absolutely out of this world. He doesn't get enough credit for that. And yeah, I think that he's still got quite a few years to go, and the titles that he's won, the things that he's done for the esport. I don't even know if the esport would be in the same place if it hadn't been for people like Scump. So, yeah, got to be him number one.
Are you a massive Ravens fan?
I am, yeah. I have the merch. I watch all the games. I keep up with all the stuff ever since franchising happened. I've been to the event that they were able to put on, and if when we ever get champs in London, I'll be at that one too.
Let's just hope that chance does come in London, because it'd be great to witness it.
No, without a doubt.
Whether or not it happens, who knows? But let's focus on the fact that we are both from the UK. If you had to pick your top 4 God Squad from the UK, whether it be past or present, say Swanee, Marky B, Insight, anybody, who are you choosing?
Oh, that's tough. Whoa. Bands has to be in there. Has to be. That's so difficult, because obviously you can look back at the old guys, and don't get me wrong, I've got a lot of love for like the Twins and Marky B and Mad Cat and the rest. You think about like that old Splice roster and so on, but the level of talent that exists in, for example, the current Toronto Ultra squad, got the likes of Cammy, Kleenex, Insight. It's difficult. Bands has to be in there for what he's achieved. I'll go Bance, Cammy. Bance, Cammy. Oh my God, this is so difficult. I need another sub and another AR, really. That'll be the best way to break that down. Bance, Cammy. I'm struggling to look past Kleenex, despite, the fact that we've had some good subs. I love Afro. I love Nasty. Struggling to look past Kleenex. So Kleenex, I may as well just take the Toronto Ultra roster. I may as well just take the Ultra roster at this point. It's just so hard, because like in the old days, it's like one of those where I can look at those rosters and be like, yeah, sure. But the level of Call of Duty has only improved over time. It only has gotten better. And you've got a side there that won a chip last year. They've definitely got the quality in them to win more. So they're a really, really good side. So I think that those 4, I mean, otherwise you're going to have to start bringing in like, oh, you have to pick an old one. You have to this. So yeah.
You have had lots of different experiences and lots of different Call of Duties. What is your favorite Call of Duty?
Black Ops 2. Black Ops 2 is such a good game. None of this camera breaking crap that goes on these days. None of this ADHD 9 million mile an hour sprint sessions that go on these days. Like, I genuinely I am too old. Like, I come away from, I played ranked for a couple of hours last night. My thumbs hurt. Like, it's insane. Like, the joints of my thumbs are sore from playing Call of Duty. Like, that's weird. Like, I miss the days where it was like your strategy paid off way, way more. Good setups. You could sit down with your teammates and go, okay, we want one player here, one player there, because it gives us the best setup, the best chance. Early rotations really mattered. In this game, you can just like break a camera, slip and slide around a corner and beam someone off the heady. Weapons are far more forgiving these days because of things like the gunsmith, where you just end up with lasers basically. There's one of the things about current Call of Duty games as well is like you throw a grenade into like a room, right? Think of P5 on Tuscan. You put a grenade into a room, there's bits of tables, doors, walls, bodies, more grenades, and I just much preferred it when it was just a much more settled down game that was just based around solid tactics, solid gunplay, where it was like, okay, this is consistently reliable, much more reliable than we have in these modern day games, where everything's being it's just about breakneck speed. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going anywhere. I think Modern Warfare 2 is going to be just as quick from what I'm hearing.
Well, obviously, somehow last night you and I got matched into a lobby, and obviously
we did.
That play that you had on, I think it was P2,
yes,
managed to win you the game. But we talk about breakneck speeds. You're a man that loves F1. How did you get into the F1, and what is it that you love about it? Because obviously you stream the races as part of your league, I guess?
Yeah. So I always liked racing. I always liked it when I was younger, but back when I was younger, like it was like even less cool. Like gaming wasn't necessarily cool, but F1 was even less cool. Like that was seen as like something for like a totally different class to what I was brought up in. And it's not like it is nowadays. And I watched a little bit, and then just as I started watching, like the next season, Lewis Hamilton joined. So I then had someone to follow, someone to support, someone to cheer. And thankfully, he turned out to be the greatest driver of all time. That is unquestionable. And he, that then just dragged me more and more and more into it, deeper into it. And if anything, I'm only getting more into it nowadays. Like you said about the streams and stuff, I've got some serious plans with that. Ideas, things that I want to buy, purchase, and do. Getting more into the go-karting, watching the races and stuff. So yeah, it's just one of those. Like, I got into it when I was younger. Me and my best friend were like really into it throughout college, and so. But yeah, it was really good. But it's cool to see, as much as it's a weird thing to see, like the sport now being loved by like everyone. It's weird and it's got some negatives to it, but it's really cool to see like how many people, like, I load up Twitter now and everyone's talking about the race. That never used to be a thing. 5 years ago, that just wasn't a thing at all. 10 years ago, definitely not.
What team do you support?
It kind of just wherever Lewis has been. So obviously over the last like half decade plus, it's been Mercedes. So it's been kind of easy because I can just sit and support the winning team basically. But in F1, I think it's harder to support a team than it is in many other sports because there's only 20 drivers. It's far easier to pick out a driver. If someone's thinking about watching F1 or getting into F1, that's the route I would suggest. I wouldn't suggest a team. Because they chop and change so often as well, especially if you're not one of the top three. So I would 100% pick a driver. So a team, I'm going to say Mercedes, but yeah, Lewis, Team LH.
I want you to think into the future and think about what's next for yourself. If you had to pick an experience or a game or anything that you'd like to see yourself in, or always thought about, oh, I'd love to do that, what would it be? Like, would you like to go down the path of casting, I don't know, a game that you've never played before, or would you stream a game that you've never played before?
I've said this for a while, actually, kind of privately to like friends. I'm waiting for like the next thing to come out. That's the next big thing the next big new thing to come out. Like, for example, I don't know, like a Titanfall 3 comes out, for example, and that becomes huge. It doesn't get kind of smothered. Or a new franchise, a new IP entirely. Like, remember when Destiny came out? And now Destiny's got its own long-term ecosystem and its content and everything else. I'd love something to come out that I'm truly, really interested in, that I can get fully involved in from a content and casting point of view. Because at the minute, it feels like I want to dip into Halo, but that's already got its established history. Thankfully, I've been around Call of Duty for a while, but there's a lot of it. Like CSGO, I'd love to dip into that. But again, that's already got its established hierarchy and history and everything else. I'd love Valorant, for example, came out. That was a really good one. But the problem with Valorant was it was so heavily linked with CSGO that everyone coming over from CSGO basically just made it like CSGO 2. Like, it just felt like everyone, people were making content around it and they were talking about things that I didn't really understand. I'd love to see a new first-person shooter, COD-esque type thing come out that I can really get into. If Destiny was coming out now, I'd be all over that. It's just I have a bad history with Destiny. So I'm looking for the new next big thing. I think I'm waiting on that one.
I'm now very intrigued. Whilst you were speaking just then, I thought of a question which I want to know the answer to. What's one game you would definitely not touch?
I think Destiny. I think I have a lot of people aren't going to know, but I have like quite a storied history with Destiny. I played in the tournament scene. I played a lot of it back in the day, and I just think that the bad taste that left in my mouth just made it so, like, I've got loads of friends there. It seems to be improving as a game. There's lots of good to Destiny. There might be people who end up watching this and being like, Destiny's great. It is. You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. But there was so many lies, so many missed opportunities, so much investment from people like myself who were then just completely stabbed in the back that I just can't go back to it, despite all the achievements I had in it, despite all the great people I met, despite all the good stuff that is in the game. I can't bring myself to load that game back up ever again.
Wow. I expected it fully to be something like Fortnite or something that you'd probably hate.
You know what? No, build mode looks good. I'll never play that game in the build mode because I don't understand it. You shoot someone, they turn into the Taj Mahal. I don't fucking get it at all. It's not my kind of game when it's like that. But the actual core mechanics, actual shooter mechanics were quite fun when it first came out. So I don't know. I might try the no build again.
It's very fun. I myself play it quite a lot, and I'll fully advertise it. Well, not advertise, but fully campaign for it. But I want to know if you had to look up to somebody, whether it be in casters or whether it be in real life, who would it be?
Oh, that's tough. One person.
It could be multiple.
I think in terms of casting, I look up to Chance a lot. He's a phenomenal Call of Duty color caster. It's the exact route that I want to take. He does a great job of color casting is difficult because a lot of people think, and a lot of color casters do this, where they take a shit ton. I don't know if we're allowed to swear on here. A lot.
whatever.
They take a lot of statistics, information, and they just relay that to the viewer. The problem is the average viewer gets lost in that. They just get they start hearing percentages and all this stuff, and they just get lost. They have no idea. Whereas Chance does a really good job of taking the really annoying, boring Google spreadsheets that we all have and turning them into stories, turning them into something that matters, something that is tangible to a viewer, so that someone sat listening can go, okay, I only took 10% of that thing in about the statistics, but there's a really good story coming out of it that the play-by-play caster can then run with, which is something that a lot of people don't understand, how much time goes into the play-by-play and the color caster sitting down and going, this is the story today. This is what we're running with. Here's all the things to back it up. And so, yeah, him as a caster for sure. He's got a massive future ahead of him. There's a lot of people. It's hard to say. It's hard to sit there and like narrow it down to a few. I think the more I learn about Mike's story, I know he's my boss and I'm not supposed to say this, but the more I learn about him and how like he did a lot of what he did back before gaming was cool, back before esports was cool, and was in the trenches, so to speak. I think it's definitely something inspiring when you can look up to your boss and be like, he dug deep when many people wouldn't have done. So he's a good one. Otherwise, I don't know. It's kind of there's a couple of people out there where it's like they're good examples. You know, I think of like Call of Duty scene leaders like Crone, like the community leaders who do a fantastic job of holding people accountable to high standards, high morals, so on and so forth. And those are good people to kind of associate yourself with and be like, I want to be like that guy.
I can completely understand that because all the names that you've listed have absolutely, they deserve everything they've earned, is what I'm trying to say. You've had lots of different experiences, and obviously, before I joined Dexerto, I knew who you were to the point where I went, oh my god, it's Mr. Enigma. And we had kind of a little bit of a running joke with that. But if you had to choose one experience that you could to relive and reposition yourself in that moment, what would it be? What is your favourite piece of technology?
Oh shit. Trying to think. My favorite piece of technology. I think it might actually be something that I'm aiming to buy, and it's a fully Sim Pro racing setup.
Ooh.
It's literally one where it's like an actual car just without the shell of the car and stuff. Like it's insane. And like you driving it and it like mimics the G-forces and stuff. I tried one once at a convention and that was years ago. So no doubt the technology is even better. But if I won a lot of money tomorrow, I would 1,000,000% set up a whole room just dedicated for this full Sim Pro thing. Like it was ridiculously fun. And if anyone's into racing, then they should 1,000,000% buy one because they're ridiculously costly though. The guy was trying to sell it to me and he's like, oh, is it fine? You only pay X amount per month for like the rest of your life. It's like, yeah, sure. So yeah, I'll find the name of it if I can and send that to you. But yeah, it's like this full rig and you sit in it and it like mimics the G forces and stuff and the movements of the car. And you've got this big wide monitor screen so you can see everything as if you're sat in the front of a car. Yeah, insane. Definitely what I would love to build in the long future.
I'm sure Romy will absolutely love that, right?
Yeah, love it. 100%. It's her gift as well as mine. Like,
she can play Sims on it, I'm sure.
Yeah, that would that would be the most awkward way to play Sims ever. Oh, I mean, that was superb. But I'm hoping to, I'm kind of hoping to actually relive something. And it is something that we kind of brought up earlier. It's a London Call of Duty event. So the last time we had one in the CWL, because the CDL one wasn't that great because they tried changing it so that only certain people are allowed to sit here, only certain rubbish. Just charge everyone the same for the tickets and just allow them in. Like everyone wants to stand and walk around anyway. It's ridiculous. We're not in a football stadium. I'm hoping that we get a big banger Call of Duty event in London. I mean, just the UK in general, but the Copper Box in London's a wonderful experience, and just book off a whole damn weekend and enjoy that. That would definitely be something that I'd be very keen to relive. If it happens and if it's champs, then we'll just, absolutely light it up. That would be insane.
Let's really hope it is champs. I'm really, really hoping it's champs. But
Yeah, it'd be insane.
if you had to give one bit of advice to someone that you've never met before, whether it be about life or whether it be about the experiences that you've lived, what would you tell them?
I guess a lot of people who are going to be watching this, a lot of people are going to be aspiring content creators. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, it is worth it in the end. If you have full faith and full belief in where you want to be, if this is where you want to be, work for it. There is nothing better than waking up in the morning. And don't get me wrong, it's still a job, right? It's still a job. There are plenty of days where I wake up and I'm like, I really can't be asked working today. I would love to just boot up the stream or boot up my games and just play games. That would be phenomenal. Of course it would. If I won the lottery, would I retire? Yes, 100%. But there is something unbelievably spectacular that gets you through tough days and makes the good days even better when you care deeply about the stuff that's going out, when you care about what's going on. There will be a lot of people right now who are grinding, who aren't sure about the light at the end of the tunnel. It took me 7 years, 7 whole years, alongside jobs, alongside relationships, in order to get into this point. Keep going, keep looking for ways to evolve, back yourself, invest in yourself. It is worth it in the end.